Mark,
I
you ready?
should take a picture of the girls.
Okay.
No, Mark, let's put some red lipstick on them.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Vin, roll call.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Olansky,
Here.
Mrs. Mendez,
Here.
Mr. Petruno,
Here.
Mrs. Piernick, Mrs. Rosado,
Here.
Mrs. Shrem,
Here.
Mrs. Seward,
Here.
and Mrs. Amster.
Sunshine Law, be advised that this meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, Sunshine Law, and that adequate notice of the date, time, and agenda has been sent to the Asbury Park Press and has been posted and filed with the Marlboro Township Clerk. Copies have also been sent to each district school and other area newspapers in accordance with the law. I want to draw your attention to, but will not read in full, statement of videotaping of public portion of Board of Education meetings, public comment statement, no smoking on school grounds. The following students from Mrs. Cotter and Mrs. Wolkowitz's classes at the David C. Abbott Early Learning Center will be leading the Pledge of Allegiance. Aaron Asnes, Briar Ward, Yesko Kukulski, James McWilliams, Juliana Kapusta, Liliana Jankowski, Gavin Block, Sydney Marcus, Noah Ochner, and Vihan Sonawan. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Great job. Vin, student recognition.
Okay, thank you. Now I want to turn the attention to Mr. Perno, who will be going through the student recognition for the David C. Abbott Early Learning Center, and they will be going over project-based learning. Accompanying Mr. Perno will be Ms. Boriana Karajova and Mrs. Rosalind Wolkowitz.
Yep. Okay. Good evening, everyone. So we have a wonderful presentation for you this evening. At Abbott, one of the things we really pride ourselves on is an interdisciplinary approach to learning, where we sort of integrate various subjects through a common theme. So tonight, Ms. Karajova is going to lead us in an examination of bells and how they apply in many different ways.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you some of the wonderful things we have been doing in music class this school year. We have been working hard to give the children a solid musical foundation on which to build a lifetime of music appreciation. In our school, we recognize the importance of project-based learning that promotes a deeper level of understanding and provides students with opportunities to learn about the world around them. Our students will present a project about bells that helps them develop specific musical skills and also incorporates every other content area under the general theme of music. For example, we incorporated social studies by introducing students to the bells from various countries like the Big Ben Clock Tower in London and our own Liberty Bell. We sang songs and read books about them, which enriched our language skills. We included arts and crafts by using paper mache and painting to create our own models on the stage over there. The students exemplified their problem-solving skills while working together as a team to construct and deconstruct our bell tower. And you can see it's a little bit distressed. We had lots of fun building it. As you can see, we also worked on math skills like counting and telling the time when listening to the chimes of a clock tower. These learning experiences would make music meaningful at school, at home, and in the community. I hope you enjoy our presentation. Hello? Okay. Boys and girls, are you ready? Okay, we're gonna start with Jingle Bell Parade. So get your jingle bells ready. Okay. Bells are everywhere. Desk bells, doorbells, bicycle bells, sleigh bells, cowbells, and bells, tower bells, and bells about Liberty Bells. There you go.
People use bells in their everyday life, but we like to make music with them. We learned about many types of bells from all over the world. Working together, we make a big Liberty Bell. We also made our own handbells and jingle bells. Playing handbells help us learn our letters, numbers, and colors. Each bell also has a number: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This makes it easy to read, play, and make our own music. We can play melodies when we ring one bell at a time. We could also play harmony when we play 2 or more bells at the same time. Let's sing in the fun!
And they say picture is worth 1,000 words. So you're going to see a peek into our music classroom. We created a video for you.
I am an artist making this bell.
Wow, I think they all need another round of applause for all their hard work. Take a bow, guys. It's so wonderful that you learned about bells in every discipline in school, not just in music. And it's beautiful that you got to create works of art as well. So, job well done. Thank you, Mrs. Kay, Mr. Perno. At this time, I'd like to call a 5-minute recess so that all of our superstars can leave with their families. Can I get a second? Susie, all in favor? Any opposed? 5-minute recess. Vin, roll call.
Mr. Olansky,
Here.
Mrs. Mendez,
Here.
Mr. Petruno,
Here.
Mrs. Shrem.
Hi. Here.
Hi. Mrs. Piernick,
Here.
Mrs. Seward,
Here.
and Mrs. Rosado.
Here. Student impact, Vin.
Sure. So I'd like to just read this. Our student impact was about the kindness pillar. So throughout the month of February, MTPS participated in the American Heart Association challenges. Elementary school students took part in the Kids Heart Challenge, and middle school students took part in the American Heart Challenge. As a part of the Heart Challenge, students at the middle schools learned to prioritize their mental health and body health. They also took the health challenge to be kind or think positive, which aligns with our district's character pillars. To go along with the Heart Challenge, students learned hands-on CPR in their health classes. They were able to learn the importance of CPR and how it can save lives. Along with raising money and taking the health challenges at home, elementary students also took part in the challenge at school. Their challenge was to move more or be kind. Along with raising money and awareness, students also got to take part in activities in their gym class relating to heart health and learned why heart health is so important. So now we're just going to play a quick video clip to talk about the kindness pillar.
Throughout February, MTPS participated in the American Heart Association challenges. Elementary students took the Move More or Be Kind challenge, and middle school students took the Be Kind or Think Positive challenge. Along with these challenges, as a district, our 8 schools raised over $53,000 to donate towards heart health research and programs. Middle school students were able to learn hands-on CPR, the importance of it, and how it can save lives.
Thank you. And great job to everybody who participated for the Kindness Pillar event. So now moving on, we'd like to just discuss the artwork on display. So the Marlboro Elementary School participated in mixed media and surrealism. The Marlboro Elementary School kindergarten students learned lyrics to a song and how they can be read like poetry and art. With the lyrics to What a Wonderful World, students illustrated some of the words to the song using mixed media, then later on going back to match up with lyrics belonging to the song in which they illustrated. 4th grade students were introduced to the art world surrealism after being introduced to the French artist René Magritte. Using his painting The Return, students used his ideas as a reference point to interpret their own surreal bird with a realistic nest below. The next artwork on display was the Robertsville Champions, which focused around wellness. They studied the importance of the physical and emotional wellness and the connection between the two. Students learned the 21st century skills related to health literacy and how to care for themselves physically and emotionally. They discussed the importance of being physically active and gained an understanding that physical activity is more than exercising or playing sports. Students also discussed feelings and learned coping skills for stressful, frustrating, or challenging situations. They explored the roles that healthy eating and getting enough sleep play in maintaining physical and emotional wellness. Their artwork reflects on the benefits of wellness and how the different components of wellness are all connected. And all of this artwork is on display at the administrative office.
Thank you. Any announcements?
None.
School bus driver and building maintenance personnel motor vehicle abstracts.
So all abstracts were run and all have privileges in good standing.
Thank you. Moving on to public comment. Is there anyone that signed up?
Yes. So I'd like to call Mrs. Ashley McCormick.
evening. Ashley McCormick, 16 Riley Road. I'm sure by now you've all heard of the tragic events that happened in Nashville, and I hate to stand up here and talk about our security because I don't like talking about it in public. But I know parents have come to this mic and have addressed the board before regarding after school and before school care, and I know Mr. Lewonsky and Mr. Petruno had both spoken up and said that they would look into something extra, but we haven't heard back in a while. Parents are still concerned. Our kids are still just as vulnerable. And again, parents feel that, including myself, it shouldn't take a tragedy for us to make changes. And I'm not sure exactly what the board can do, if anything, but please, sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to state before I open up to the board that we always take into consideration, I know it sounds like we're giving lip service because we can't give specific answers when it comes to security, but please understand that it is at the forefront of our conversations and discussions, and it's more than that. Would any of the board members like to speak? Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to actually report on that tonight when I do my safety committee report, so I'll elaborate more on that in a few minutes, okay?
Any other board members? Aldo?
Yeah, I want to just comment because, first of all, thank you for your comment. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've voiced it in the past, and, you know, I have no problem voicing it again. You know, for a community that touts so much on their, you know, school system, I personally, I feel like there should, you know, it's my view that when there's students present, there should be, you know, that we should have security and to the fullest. Anything, you know, less than that isn't really doing it. So it's my personal view, but, you know, I think that hopefully as a board we'll get everything done without going into specifics. You know, I have confidence in Mr. Lewonsky, and we definitely hear you guys. So we're working towards it.
Thank you so much. Anyone else, Ben?
I have no one else on my list, but whatever. Anybody like
Anyone
to speak? Mr. Visotsky?
Angela Colby, Visotsky, Marlboro Township. I just wanted to bring to the board today that the co-leaders of CPEG really want to thank the special education department. Today they held a training for all the PTOs and the PTA staff, not staff, but the PTO and the PTA leaders, and trained them a little bit on how to bring inclusiveness into the activities that go on at the school parties, the fifth grade parties, and all of the activities that are there. So we really appreciate special services working and listening to the parents of the CPEG community and working together to bring the inclusiveness into the classes. Thank you.
That's wonderful news. Thank you so much for sharing that. Does anyone on the board want to comment? Val?
I'll give an update later for CPAG, but I know we talked about it, Dr. Blair. I think that's wonderful. I know that was something that was really important to the families, to the school, so I just want to say I'm really happy that that came to light.
Anyone else?
Anybody else would like to speak? See none?
Moving on. Please note the meeting dates. Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 is a workshop meeting, and Tuesday, April 25th, 2023 is a regular meeting. Aldo, can you read approval of minutes resolution?
The superintendent of schools would like to submit the following minutes for approval. 1, approval of minutes. I so move.
So the date, February 14th for workshop and executive. Do I have a second? Jessica, any discussion? I see none. Roll call.
Sure. Mrs. Schramm? Mrs. Seaver?
Yes.
Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
And Mrs. Rosato?
Yes. Secretary Business Administrators Report.
Yep. So this is the submission for the month of February and the payroll certification for the month of February as well.
Thank you. Payroll certification, I'm sorry.
Yep, for the month of February.
Okay, thank you. Presentation of the 2021 and 2022 school year audit is going to be moved before the committee reports. Vin, would you take that?
Sure.
Thank
so
you.
Here from our auditing firm are Mr. Bodeker and Mr. Mulligan, who are going to present our 21-22 school year audit.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. As Vinny just said, my name is Robert Mulligan. I'm a supervisor with HFA, and I'm just going to go over a few things with the audit, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. So first of all, we have 3 opinions within our audit. Our independent auditor's opinion, our report on internal control, and then our report on compliance and internal control over our state and federal programs. I'm happy to report that we have an unmodified opinion for all 3 of these. That is the best opinion that we can give. We have no deficiencies and no issues with compliance to report. Additionally, I'd like to go over just a little bit with fund balance. The district has a very healthy $16.6 million of fund balance as of June 30th, 2022. That includes some restricted fund balances, such as your capital reserve and your maintenance reserve, which you can utilize for future projects. In particular, what we like to bring up is our excess surplus, which is the excess that the district has at the end of the year that must be utilized in subsequent budgets. So for this year, we have $341,136 of excess surplus. That is funds that will be utilized in your 2023-2024 budget. So you'll see that going forward. You'll also see we have last year's excess surplus, which was utilized in your 2022-2023 budget, which was $571,465. And then finally, just a brief discussion on our food service fund. The district had improved operations this year compared to the prior year. A lot of that due to kind of the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions loosening during 21-22. So the district had a net income this year of $405,000. A lot of that was driven by increased subsidies in the current year. As you guys all know, students received free lunch last year, which increased your state and federal subsidies, which resulted in more income in the current year. So all good there as well. Another healthy net position balance of about $1.2 million there. And that is about it for my presentation, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Aldo?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for that information. If you could just explain real quick the surplus. You said if we don't utilize it, it has to be utilized by the next year. How exactly does that work, if you wouldn't mind?
So it's a calculation based on your total expenditures. So for this year, the district had about $87 million of expenditures. 4% of that, plus some allowable adjustments, results in your maximum allowed unassigned fund balance. So that is the maximum amount that you're allowed to keep unassigned, which can be utilized as you wish. So for instance, this year at about $3.5 million you were allowed to keep as unassigned fund balance. Then,
I'm sorry, I think maybe I wasn't clear. I meant the 341,000 surplus.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that amount of money, that 340,000, that is additional amount after that unassigned balance and after anything that you've moved into other reserves. That is an additional amount that you have to implement into a future budget. It's just excess funds, so it has to be utilized in 2 budget periods from now. So the excess surplus from this year will be used now in the 23-24 budget.
Okay, in 2 years.
Right, so it essentially establishes your base for the next year's budget. You're going to utilize that as your surplus to start as the base.
All right, perfect, thank you.
I will say that calculation is going to change going forward. It's always been 2%. Over the last 2 or 3 years, they've changed it to 4%. There's more into it than just that, but it was a COVID thing to kind of help districts get more money in there, but next year it's going back to the old 2% calculation.
Okay, so this year we're able to carry over 4%. Next year it'll be 2. Okay.
Right, a lot of districts are establishing a huge unassigned fund balance and really not putting anything into reserves because they wanted to, establish a huge, unassigned fund balance with the 4%, because you really can tap into that any future years you really want to build a budget.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions, Val?
I did. Can you just go back to the 405,000 you said in the food budget, in case what made that up and how that played out?
So basically, the district this year had revenues of $3 million, $3,011,000. Total expenses about $2.6 million. So that additional $405,000 is essentially your income for the year. And again, a lot of that driven by just additional subsidies that were received from the state and the federal government because all students receive free lunch. So you received reimbursements as a result of that. So it just resulted in more income this year.
Anyone else? Al's, are you good? Okay.
Okay,
Thank you so
gentlemen.
much.
Thank you so much for coming out.
Have a great night.
Thank
Moving
you.
on to committee reports. Buildings and Grounds Committee.
The Building and Grounds Committee, I don't really have anything to report at the moment. We had our last meeting
The beginning of March, I think it was beginning of March, first week of March.
Yeah, we went through, all the projects that we currently have going on, and I'll report back after the next one.
I know we've had a lot of meetings, board meetings this month, so probably not a lot to report. Communications Committee, Annette.
Hello. I just received an update this afternoon from Morgan Gross regarding the community coffee chat update. I don't know why there's back.
There is a feedback.
I'm trying to get away as far as possible. As of today, the latest update that we have for the community coffee chat is going to be on May 10th. The location is set for the board building. We're working on thank you, I think that's a little better. We're working on the flyer to be set up in RSVP form so that everyone can respond appropriately to the event so that we can have the appropriate refreshments. So just keep an eye out from the Communications Committee as we move forward on the topic that we'll be discussing, and that's it for now.
Thank you, Annette. Curriculum Committee, that's me. Okay, so a couple of things to discuss. We had our last Curriculum Committee meeting on March 23rd. We first discussed the health webinar. I know after much planning and discussion in the past couple of months, we're really excited to announce the details for this upcoming health webinar that will be held either the week of May 15th or May 22nd virtually, just a couple of last minute things that need to get figured out. We have interviewed and hired a certificated health teacher to deliver the health curriculum to the select opted-in students and their families. As we had mentioned before, there was approximately 25% of students and families that opted out of the health curriculum. So how it's going to work is those students, their Genesis accounts will be accessible by the families without any pop-up screens or blocks on the account because they already opted out of the curriculum. for the approximately 75% of the students who are opting into the health curriculum for 5th and 8th grades respectively. Those students will log into the health webinar. They'll be marked in attendance and receipt of this health curriculum in the Genesis system. If for some reason the opted-in student cannot attend the webinar, the entire webinar will be recorded and posted in Genesis. Parents will have a pop-up on the Genesis website that will instruct them to view the webinar and check off that they've watched this video with their child and received the health instruction. That'll allow Genesis to be open and accessible to the families who opted into the curriculum. I know, Annette, we're going to be talking about some topics in the coffee chat with the community. That will be another place for any community members to talk in a casual forum to discuss their concerns or topics.
Yeah, that's definitely what played into the May 10th date, so that we could align all of the communication with the families with the health curriculum webinar, so that there's no surprises and everyone can be walked through the webinar that they'll be watching at home.
So it really was a great collaborative effort on that part, and we're really proud of that. Some other things. Start Strong assessment has been discontinued. This was originally piloted in the fall of 2020 and was mandated as a way to ensure that districts had access to high-quality standards-based student data while the NJSLA were suspended. However, since the NJSLA has been reinstated as of spring 22, the Department of Ed will discontinue the Start Strong assessment effective fall of 2023. Another topic was ST Math. I know a community member had brought up at our last meeting a concern regarding the usage of ST Math within the Marlboro classrooms. So ST stands for Spatial Temporal Math. The way that it was described by Mr. Ballone was that it uses pictures, if you're familiar with it or not familiar with it, instead of words, to build a conceptual understanding of math ideas. Kind of similar to IKEA instructions on how there's pictures and not words, and students have to really understand the meaning behind math and not just the process to get an answer. So I had initially expressed that I didn't think it was friendly for students with disabilities or any kind of student that can get easily frustrated while working on the computer. He explained that it is not mandated work and it should not be within the classroom mandated that students have to do it. Rather, it's used for small group instruction and remediation after common assessments. So if there are any concerns that you are having about your child, that's something you should definitely address with your child's teacher. And any other additional concerns can always be forwarded to Mr. Ballone. He's also setting up a family night in October for parents so that they can experience and have almost like a demo account where they can log on to the ST Math and familiarize it themselves, and also have questions answered at this family night on anything pertaining to ST Math. Another community member brought up a concern regarding the physical education curriculum, so I wanted to address that as well, in regards to a concern that she felt students were playing rock, paper, scissors, and stacking cups during gym class. So when we inquired upon this, we were told the physical education curriculum isn't always kickball or physical activity exclusively. It contains many core ideas, one of which is movement, skills, and concepts. So in this idea, gross, fine motor and manipulative skills are present, which include games and recreational activities. In the case in question regarding the rock, paper, scissors, hula hoops were set up in like an S-shaped pattern across the gym floor. Kids were moving in the pattern from opposite ends of the S. And so until they met up with another student as like an impasse, and they then needed to do rock, paper, scissors in order to decide who was going to move on to the next activity and pass through. So that kind of clarified where the rock, paper, scissors came into play in the gym class. And our final thing that we discussed, it was a busy curriculum meeting, So now that we're moving forward with the full day pre-K, I had addressed with Michael that I wanted to see if it would be possible to pilot possibly the Wilson Foundations program in all of pre-K to help build a stronger foundation for students to be more successful in their phonological awareness and reading. It's a really great program that I feel, in my estimation, can be used in pre-K through third grade to really build a strong basis for students so that they can be successful. We're going to investigate the cost of piloting a program like this and how much it would cost to also train teachers in this program. So stay tuned for more information on that as well. Any questions? Jessica?
Yes. For pre-K, if pre-K were to do the pilot, is there talk of foundations moving on up for kindergarten to be pushed in to help with the phonological
I did address
awareness?
that, and so we're going to get pricing for everything as well, but I definitely want to see, like, start small on the pre-K since we have these babies and they're ours from the beginning, to see if we'll actually see an impact on that and a change in their growth as, you know, in reading and also their understanding of phonemic awareness. I want to see if it's really going to make an impact from the beginning, from the get-go.
Yep, and they can differentiate with the small groups. And then the other question I have is, the webinar on Genesis, is that instead of, that is now replacing the health
The
teacher in the
in-person,
classroom, is that correct?
correct. So that'll help also with programming concerns. I know that there were a lot of parents that were concerned about, where is my child going to go? What if my child doesn't get pulled out and they're staying in the class, you know, during this health curriculum that I didn't want them a part of? That will just do away with that. Any questions? Aldo?
No questions, but you guys really did. I didn't realize you did all that. Like, that's a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did have the support of Michael and Mark, that they're on board with knowing that we may receive backlash for this, but in the, you know, best interest of the children, the parents can now be present to remove any concerns that anything inappropriate will be discussed in the classroom.
Right, parents are at the helm, which is where they always should be. Policy Committee, Val?
Hi, yes, so we met at the end of March, and just our next meeting will be April 5th, but some things that I just wanted to touch on again to make sure that we covered it. We're going to have a first reading of it with an executive, but I wanted to make sure that I just resurfaced it with everybody so they understood. So a few policies that we looked at. First one was policy 2530, which is resource materials. So this one is regarding any materials that are available to students, making sure that they are grade appropriate and maturation level appropriate for students, just making sure that it's, you know, that there's objective thinking and the practices of objective thinking are still there, but that it's appropriate for the grade level and maturity level of our students. The other piece that we were adding, there's a regulation out there, which is regulation 9130. And in 9130, it just talks about, you know, how if there is something that your child or a child brings to the attention of a parent or guardian regarding content or materials that are available to them, and you have questions as family members about that content, we're just putting in the resource materials 2530 policy, how that can be escalated and what's the appropriate way to handle that if you have questions regarding materials that children have access to. So more to come on that, but I know I touched on it last time and I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it was still moving along. So that was policy 2530. The next one is policy 5756 regarding transgender students. This one I want to make sure and make this very clear. We want to make sure that we maintain the integrity of inclusion. We respect, you know, a student's choice to identify with, you know, a gender they identify with. The piece that we are looking to modify and will bring to everybody for feedback and thoughts is that just the point where the parent is involved. And so it's just making sure that parents in a safe manner are involved. Obviously there's an escalation process if they feel that that wouldn't be the case that the child would have a safe place to, or supportive system. So we're adding in just the parent piece and what resources will be available to students and families to make sure that, students feel supported and that they feel that they have a safe place to go. There are pieces in here that I know people are questioning us on regarding other aspects that are more of a law, and that piece, is not for us to touch upon or, do anything more with that. We are here to just make sure students feel included and accepted, and we're involving families as well so that they can be supported at home. So that's the basis of that one. Again, there will be first readings. People in the community can ask questions, but there are certain pieces that we are leaving intact because we have to make sure that, we are abiding by the law and the rules that we have to abide by. So it's all about inclusion and making kids feel that they can express themselves, but that they have families involved and that there's a supportive structure for them in place. So that's 5756. We'll bring more to you once we have it, but I just want you to know that it's really just about parent involvement when that works and making sure we respect the student as well. So
I just want to thank the policy committee. I know Val has been working tirelessly with the committee, Mark, and Michael Ballone to really make sure that we knock it out of the park and that we were respecting the integrity of the policies, but also keeping parents in mind. So I really appreciate the hard work that you've all been putting in. Safety and Security Committee, Michael.
Sure. So on March 13th, we had our first meeting of the Safety and Security Committee. Prior to the meeting, I reached out to Mayor Hornick and asked if he would attend with Chief Paluzzo. As the Safety Committee all agreed, this would be a good time to reevaluate all our procedures and safety measures currently in place. I'd like to thank Mayor Hornick, the Chief, and Jonathan Kapp as well, the business administrator from the township, for participating in this very important meeting. We all carefully and systematically reviewed our current procedures in place. It should be noted that there have been many safety upgrades over the years. We continue to upgrade systems and procedures. I can also report that our transportation staff has also received additional training regarding safety and security. We agreed that we can never become complacent and cannot stress enough how important it is to keep following all safety protocols and procedures, such as keeping exterior doors closed. And administration agreed as well to keep regularly reminding everyone in our buildings, students and staff, of our safety procedures, etc. It was a very productive meeting, folks. It's as soon as you can tell you, to have the mayor and the chief together with our committee. And of course, we can't talk about the particulars of the meeting, what happened, but you have to know that progress is made. And I'll continue as well. I want to also talk about the Governor Murphy's threat assessment teams. Starting in the 2023-2024 school year, the new bill, which is A4075/3229, was signed into law, requiring the Board of Education in each school district to develop and adopt a policy for the establishment of a threat assessment team at their respective schools. Our threat assessment team must include a school psychologist, school counselor, school social worker, or other school employee with expertise in student counseling, a teaching staff member, a school principal or other senior school administrator, a Safe Schools resource officer or school employee who serves as a school liaison to law enforcement, and a designated school safety specialist. The team, the roundtable, the team, the chief, the mayor, Susie, all of us, we agreed, when looking at the law, the committee agreed that informally, we currently achieve many of the obligations already of the law. We are currently in the process of organizing these teams, and we'll have them in place for the 2023-2024 school year. Champions. Champions as well was discussed at the roundtable discussion. After the champions were discussed, the board also met with champions at a later date in executive session to discuss further the before and after school care, as you've mentioned. We don't discuss procedures in public, but I want to tell you progress was made. I can say that Champions has agreed to review their procedures and will be changing their pickup and drop-off procedures with further actions in the near future as they review their options. The board has also received pricing for armed and unarmed security for before and after care and other times in the building, and we will be reviewing these as well in executive session again tonight. So progress is being made. I'm happy to announce, this is our first safety meeting, and I believe we made some good progress already. I know you want to hear particulars. I can't give you particulars, but I can tell you it's moving along, and you will see changes in champions beginning very shortly. All right, so thank you.
Thank you again also, Aldo, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you. It's been quite a number of months that we've been asking for, the mayor and even the chief. That was great that he was able to join in, but I'm looking forward to, hearing tonight some more. But the progress, just those facts between champions and the meeting with the mayor, it looks like everything's moving in the right direction. So I'm happy, to hear all that, and thank you.
You're welcome, and yes, I'm very happy as well as the progress, and I'm with you on security. As you said before, we stand together on that.
Yeah, it's amazing progress, meeting with the mayor and the chief as well, and getting all that information for us from champions. Thank you very much. I'm just going to circle back to the superintendent's report, harassment, intimidation, bullying, HIB report. Vinny?
For the period of March 15th through March 23rd, there were 4 incidents.
Thank you. Val, can you read organization matters?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, affirmative action officer, school and classroom practices. 2, board designee. I so move.
Do I have a second? Annette? Any discussion? I see none. Roll call, Vin?
Sure. Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
And Mrs. Rosado?
Yes. Financial and business operations matters. Susie?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, transfers. 2, list of bills. 3, secretary monthly reconciliation reports. 4, travel. 5, harassment, intimidation, bullying report, HIB. 6, audit report for the 21-22 school year. 7, submission of ROD grant application to the New Jersey Department of Education. 8, donations. 9, approval of agreement, Oxford Consulting Services. 10, amended resolution, donation from Marlboro Educational Foundation. 11, banking institute signatories. 12, home instruction. 13, submission of child assault prevention CAP application for the 23-24 school year. 14, award of merit pay 22-23 school year employment contract for superintendent of schools. 15, award of merit pay 22-23 school year employment contract for superintendent of schools. I so move.
Do I have a second? Aldo? Any discussion? I see none. Roll call.
Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes to all but 14 and 15. I abstain.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes to all, but I'm abstaining from 4, 14, and 15.
Okay. Mr. Petruno?
Yes to all of them, no to 14 and 15.
Okay. Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
And Mrs. Rosado?
Yes to all. I abstain from 14 and 15. You want?
Just to make sure my calculation on 14 and 15 was the vote 3 to 2 to 1. Is that right?
Yes, so I have 1, 2,
That's what I have.
3 yeses, 1, 2, 3 abstentions, and 1 no.
Okay. So it was 3 yes, 3
Abstentions
abstention,
and 1 no.
1 no. That motion does carry.
Okay.
Okay.
Curriculum matters. Annette?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, amended resolution, comprehensive equity plan. 2, interscholastic athletic competition, spring sports 2022-2023 school year. I so move.
Do I have a second, Michael? Any discussion? I see none. Vin, roll call.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes.
And Mrs. Rosado?
Yes. Personnel matters. Jessica, would you mind reading?
Sure. The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, retirements. 2, resignation. 3, employment instructional assistant. 4, employment school aide. 5, staff paid with IDEA funds. 6, stipend after-school social skills program certificated staff paid with IDEA funds. 7, stipend after-school social skills program certificated staff paid with IDEA funds. Number 8, stipend after-school social skills program non-certificated staff paid with IDEA funds. 9, substitute after-school social skills program staff paid with IDEA funds. 10, curriculum comprehensive health standards webinar presenter. 11, stipend mentor teachers. 12, substitute teachers. 13, paid medical disability leaves. 14, unpaid leaves of absence. 15, amended resolution leave dates. I so move.
Do I have a second? Susie, any discussion? I see none. Roll call.
Mrs. Seward?
Yes.
Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yeah.
Mrs. Shrem?
Yes.
Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
And Mrs. Rosado?
Yes. Do we have any letters to read from our retirees?
Yes. Okay, retirement comments for Kathleen Hilla. Kathy Hilla is retiring after working in Marlboro as an instructional assistant for 18 years. Kathy has worked at David Abbott Early Learning Center, Robertsville, and most recently, Tofino Central. She has worked with children at all grade levels from pre-K through 5th grade. Kathy is most proud of seeing how the students progress from year to year, having a part in that success. Kathy will remember the friendship and support of her coworkers as well as the excitement she felt every September as the new school year began. During her retirement, Kathy plans to spend more time with her family as well as more time doing what she loves: walking, reading, traveling, and volunteering. We wish Kathy all the best in her retirement and appreciate all of her hard work, dedication, and flexibility while she was an instructional assistant here at Tofino.
Thank you.
Next are retirement comments for Miss Diane Montaldo. Diane Montaldo is retiring after working in Marlboro for just over 20 years. During that time, Diane has worked in various schools and at various grade levels. She has worked at Morrell, spent 15 years at David Abbott Early Learning Center, and has spent the last 4 years at Tofino. Diane has spent most of her time in kindergarten and her first grades, but did spend 1 year in a 5th grade LLD classroom. Diane is most proud of the 13 years she spent working in the ABA program, working with the children and staff. During retirement, Diane looks forward to taking up some new hobbies, including yoga, traveling with her husband, and spending time with family and friends. We thank Diane for her dedication, kindness, and hard work during her time as an instructional assistant at Tofino. When asked what she will remember most about working in Marlboro, Diane said, all the wonderful teachers and IAs she had the privilege of working with over the years, and of course, the many wonderful students.
Thank you. Congratulations.
The last comments are for Ms. Santa Pizzanillo. Mrs. Pizzanillo was hired as a school bus attendant on January 2nd, 2014. During her 9 years of service, she has proved to be conscientious, proficient, and thorough in the performance of her duties year after year. Santa's commitment to the well-being of the children on her routes has made her an asset to the Transportation Department. Mrs. Pizzanillo will be missed for her upbeat attitude, personality, and adaptability. These characteristics have made her a stronghold in the Transportation Department and an excellent employee. Mrs. Pizzanillo has earned the respect of the parents, children, and her peers throughout her years of service. We hope that Santa's retirement years are happy, healthy, and fulfilling. Mrs. Pizzanillo will be missed by everyone in the Transportation Department.
Congratulations and enjoy that retirement.
Yes,
I'm
thank
slightly
you.
envious. Policy Development and Community Relations Matters. Michael?
Policy Development and Community Relations Matters. The Superintendent of Schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, Buildings and Grounds 2023-2024 school year holiday calendar. 2, amended 2023 school year calendar. I so move.
Do I have a second? Aldo? Any discussion? I see none. Roll call, please.
Sure. Mrs. Piernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Schramm?
Yes.
Mrs. Seward?
Heck yes.
Mr. Olonsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Mendez?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? And Mrs. Rosado?
Yes. Liaison reports. First from Freehold Regional High School District. It's Kathleen. Nothing to report. MEF. Annette?
Yes, that's me. Everybody today should have received this flyer regarding the Magic versus the Wizards game on Tuesday, May 9th, 2023, 7 p.m., Marlboro High School. It's a first-come, first-seated. Doors open at 6:30. We just encourage everyone to come out for a fun night. It'll be the Wizards versus the teachers, so I think the kids will really enjoy it.
That'll be fun.
And tickets
That's all
don't
for
go
now.
on sale till tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
Yeah.
correct. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thanks, Suze.
Oh. Vinny's playing.
Nice.
Good luck.
We'll be cheering you on. It's a popular event.
Vinny, were you just voluntold?
I mean, I gotta show everybody out there what my basketball skills entail. So.
I can't wait
Bring
to
it.
see.
I'll pay to see that.
I was on the fence, but I'm definitely coming now.
Marlboro Township Liaison.
Just to remind everybody again to not leave your key fobs in your unlocked cars. And more importantly, the mayor sees something, say something in today's world. That's like the most important thing going on right now, folks. Whether it involves the school district or anything in town, you see something, you hear something, please say something.
Thank you. Monmouth County School Board. New Jersey School Boards Association. PTA, PTO.
We had our meeting today. I could not go. There was a conflict, but we heard about it. Dana came and spoke, and it was a success. Thank you for reporting that. More next time.
Thank you. Okay. School liaisons. We will start with Marlboro Middle.
Marlboro Middle, updates from Miss Principal Milwaukee and PTO. Ms. Milwaukee would like to know, let everybody know the musical was a huge success. She would like to thank everyone who supported the musical this year. They are still selling the Spread Kindness across MTPS t-shirts with Scope. Ladies' Night was sold out, was on March 26th. The PTO is selling graduation signs and MMS blankets to the current 8th grade students. The PTO is also starting to plan Teacher Appreciation Week festivities. Spiritware is on sale. See the PTO website. April is filled with activities planned to recognize Disabilities Awareness Month. Stay tuned for more information. The Spring Clothing Drive is April 29th. They have this nice flyer up here. They are taking gently used items of clothing, shoes, handbags, belts, linen, stuffed animals, and small toys. No to books, pillows, board games, puzzles, or clothing that is dirty or torn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just briefly, I just wanted to give Michael a shout out because he was the stagehand for the show at MMS, and he did great too. I saw you shine up there. Tried to embarrass you a little bit. I
heard you.
I appreciate your efforts.
I also just want to say that Annette and I were in the audience for High School Musical, and we saw Michael out there hustling and doing his thing. But I just want to say thank you to Mrs. Nowaki for extending the invitation, for inviting all of us. The show was amazing, so anybody who gets to see these middle school or even our elementary school productions, I felt like I was watching the movie of High School Musical. Annette and I were just sitting there just amazed by it, so thank you. And Michael, I know you've been doing this a long time, so I just want to say it was pretty cool.
Jess.
I know Kathleen's not here to give the report for the other middle school, but I went to their performance of Matilda over the weekend, and it was amazing as well. The students did a spectacular job, and I saw Valentina working the snack bar, so thank you.
You have new middle? No? Okay, good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, sorry.
Yep, go for it.
Yes, so a few things we were at Matilda. It was amazing. So thank you, Mr. Pacifico. We were there at the concession stand. Kathleen was there with me, and I know Jessica was in the audience. It was amazing. So great job to them. Also, Marlboro Memorial celebrated their 20th birthday, so happy birthday. There was a carnival, ice cream party for the students and the staff. We also gave out plaques to the staff that were there for 20 years or more. They were given a plaque that was designed by the PTA. It was actually made using this laser machine in applied tech by Mr. Styler, so that was pretty cool. They took lots of pictures and sent them to Mr. Ballone to just kind of recognize the staff. Also on the 20th birthday, the fridge was stocked in the lounge for staff and for the birthday. March 21st to the 23rd was the spring book fair, and it was successful. On March 24th and 25th, to Jessica's point and what I stated before, Matilda was performed by the students and concessions were sold by the PTA. In April, there will be 8th grade sales for yard signs, towels, graduation grams, and the 8th grade dance. And April 28th is the spring clothing drive, and there is ongoing sales of the Route 9 shopper cards and birthday grams.
Thank you, Val. Robertsville?
I think that's Kathleen.
Okay. Asher?
So for Asher, we have, these are for March. I'm going to give you the second half of March. On the 17th, they had Green Day. On the week of the 20th to the 24th was the PTA school cart. And they're also having PTA Theater Week the same week. On the 24th is Theater Week evening performance. The 29th is Science Fair, and the 30th is Spring Pictures. Thank you.
Thank you. Defino?
That's me. So last week, Defino had their new gym audio project completed with the addition of 4 new speakers, wiring and programming. The physical education teachers have been using it daily with students. It's a phenomenal addition to the school. The PTO was gracious in funding a large percentage of the project, over $7,000, and a shout out to Delco Solutions, who gave Defino 2 incredible column speakers for free, valued at almost $2,000. This Friday at 1:50, Miss Syed's second grade class will get to silly string Dr. Straddick on the blacktop, as they were the top participating and donating class for the American Heart Association Kids Heart Challenge. The school raised a total over $15,000 for the American Heart Association, which was one of the largest school donations on the East Coast. So kudos to Defino and their PTO. Defino will have their annual lip sync performance this Friday at 7 p.m. in the Marlboro Middle School auditorium. They have many talented Defino students performing, as well as a special performance from 18 Defino staff members.
That's cool.
So everybody should go out and see them.
Thank you. Dugan?
That's me. The carnival took place on Friday, March 24th, and was a huge success. All the kids had a wonderful time, and the PTA thanks everyone who attended. The vendor fair also took place that evening on March 24th. Thank you to all the vendors who attended for the first ever vendor fair. There were some great local small businesses that attended. I really appreciated all of the handmade things. It's so impressive to me. The Scholastic Book Fair is taking place this week from March 28th to March 31st. This is a great opportunity for kids to get some new books to read. When sending in money with the kids for books, please remember that tax is now added to purchases for all
That's
those
a big deal.
rubber
That's a big deal.
erasers and
When we had our book sale, that was a big deal.
Okay. Yeah.
The tax.
Good to
Huge
know.
change for the kids.
Keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
Thank you. School Spirit Day is this Friday, March 31st. Remember to send in your Dugan Dragons in school apparel or the color green. The Science Fair is scheduled for April 20th. Registration for student projects, which can be individual or group, is currently open on PT Board. If you're interested in volunteering to help with the Science Fair, the link can also be found on PT Board as well. Stock the Fridge donations are accepted throughout the month. If interested in donating, monetary donations can be done through PT Board. That's all for now.
Thank you, Annette. Does anyone have anything to read from Marlboro Elementary?
I do.
Thank you, Susie.
Yep. Okay, so let's see. We had a lot go on last week. Last week there was Author Day, which was a great success. The kids loved it. And to coincide with Author Day, they had a Write Your Own comic strip, and they had two kids from every grade won and then got to eat lunch with the author. So it was super fun and cool for the kids. Had the school store last week, bingo night last week, which was a lot of fun. School kits on sale, talent show. I think they're about to close it now, but I think we have 29 acts signed up, and we have everything from individual acts, group acts, and then grade acts, so that should be fun. That's going to be May 17th. Disabilities Awareness Month next month. Lots of fun activities for the kids to understand and to learn what it's all about. Right now, the books, there's a donation of brand new or gently used books that are being donated. You can donate them to the school, and then they'll be donated out. And then just a shout out, and I know Farabono is in the audience out there. 4th and 5th grade, G&T had their field trip today to the Franklin Institute, and I know that was a great success. They had a lot of fun, so that was really great. So, and that was district-wide. That was not just Morel, that was all the schools, 4th and 5th grade. So, and I think there were 3 full buses, so like 100 or so kids. 160 kids, yeah.
That was some trip.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Nice, thank you. Ashley McCormick, would you like to read for Robertsville, since Kathleen is not here? Thank you.
Today we had our school store. It was a great success as usual. The kids always enjoy purchasing, so thank you to the parents who sent in money. We currently have our 5th grade chocolate sale going on right now, so if you haven't purchased chocolate, please contact a 5th grader and buy some chocolate. We have our shop and donate starting on 3/29, which is tomorrow. It's available at all 5 Below stores in the vicinity, so it's 3 locations. Check your flyers. You have to print out a form and bring them to 5 Below. Hold on. There's more. Yep. Lip sync tickets are on sale. Lip sync is on April 28th. They're on sale on the PTO board, as well as framed group photos for purchase and a program booster. Check the website, and that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Abbott. They had Read Across America Week. It was a huge success. Students enjoyed theme days and sharing their love of books. There was a Dr. Seuss Magician Assembly on March 10th. The PTO sponsored. It was a good time had by all. St. Patrick's Day brought mischief to Abbott. The school was invaded by pesky leprechauns that made a mess of their classrooms. There were even some leprechaun sightings throughout the day. Students built a variety of creative leprechaun traps. However, that sneaky leprechaun outsmarted them. They're going to try again next year. And just a reminder, there's a monthly school store. The PTO, again, hosted the school store where they offered a variety of items for students, from school supplies to fidgets and small toys. So thank you, Mr. Perno, for that update. Scope, does anyone have, Jessica?
I do, but also there is a fundraiser also going on at Abbott. It's your child's artwork, and you can purchase it through the sale, and it's only until April 2nd or 12th. I'm not sure on the date, but it's very cute. I bought it, and it's anybody at Abbott who wants their child's artwork should look into it.
It is, it's great. I still have a mug from when my son was in pre-K and
very
kindergarten there.
I have a picture frame from kindergarten.
It's a nice
really
keepsake.
cute. Yeah.
Yes, I can't wait until it arrives. Okay, so for Scope hosted a Perform Care workshop on March 15th. Scope also held a Walk for Change Kindness t-shirt fundraiser. As a few other board members said, April is Disabilities Awareness Month. There will be a district-wide Spirit Week during the week of April 17th. The Special Services Department has planned lots of activities throughout the month. A flyer just went out the other day to all parents. With the biggest Scope fundraiser of the year being held on Friday, April 21st, there will be a Walk for Change. Students will wear blue or the Kindness t-shirts that they bought. Coin donations will gladly be accepted during the walk, where students will throw money into the buckets. Proceeds from the Walk for Change will support district-wide special education grants through Scope. For more information, visit scopemarlboro.ptboard.com.
Thank you. CPAC?
So Special Services, Dr. Blair had mentioned that they met with PTO presidents, went over the inclusion checklist and a variety of other really cool things that was a request, so that was awesome. Their April meeting is TBD right now, but there will be something. Also, I just wanted to shout out again that the Mrs. Sinisi's class and created that Marlboro Super Dog, which is really, really cool. It's all dog treats that they created, put together the ingredients, shopped, and so forth. And I just wanted to remind people that we will be selling them. The group will come and sell them at a future board meeting. But we thought it was really cool. They'll present that. But Dr. Blair did bring this really awesome book to just show pictures of the dogs that were purchased the treats. The families purchased the treats, and there's pictures of the kids with the dogs shared with parents' permission up here. So for anybody who's here and wants to take a look, Dr. Blair had shared that with us. So we're really excited about that, and that was really great work by the group. So thank you for sharing that.
Jess?
So I want to add on to what Valentina said about the Mrs. Sinisi's class. They actually put money that Scope donated to them to start up their business. They actually made money, and so they needed a place. They gave it back to Scope, but now they're using that money, and they are going on a bowling trip, and they are using that money for their own real life experiences, which is amazing. And they are continuing to do their treats and sell it. So I can't wait for their pop-up shop here.
Yeah, we can't wait either. We're super excited about them. We talked to Dr. Blair, Kathleen, and I. We were just really excited to have them come and present their hard work, and so we can't wait for that. So we'll let you all know when that's coming.
Moving on to old business. Does anyone have any old business they would like to discuss? I see none. New business. Annette?
Can I just add for new business that I appreciate community members emailing the board. I get them, I read them, and I appreciate the communication and the open dialogue. It's just sometimes not my place to respond to them because it's not my delegated area of specialty. But the emails are being read, your voices are being heard, and I appreciate it very much. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Aldo?
Yeah, just also keep them, keep sending them. Like, if you guys have concerns, the only way we're going to know about them is if you let us know. So, never hesitate to email us.
At this time, I have a statement that will be read by our attorney on behalf of the board to the public.
The board wishes to inform the community about what many of us believe is a needless waste of taxpayer dollars. Since January 2023, a community member by the name of Lenny Thor has filed multiple ethics complaints with the New Jersey School Ethics Commission against several board members regarding a variety of issues he has with the way some of the board members have voted, comments made on social media, and comments made at board meetings. Additionally, he's complaining of only one board member's previous affiliation with a non-for-profit parent support group in the community. By law, the board is required to reimburse these board members for their legal fees and costs in defending against these charges. We believe that this money would be much better spent on the students of Marlboro rather than being wasted on frivolous litigation costs. We also wanted to share that Mr. Thor has additionally filed a complaint with the New Jersey Government Records Council because he was denied certain records under the Open Public Records Act. Again, this will cost the board legal fees to defend. Given the board's serious fiscal constraints and budgetary limitations, we find it incredibly unfortunate that any taxpayer dollars are being spent on matters that do not directly impact our student body in a positive way. We can only surmise that these ethics charges are politically motivated and based on Mr. Thor's dissatisfaction with the outcome of the November election. If so, we find that quite disgraceful. Our students and our taxpayers deserve better.
Thank you very much. Public comments? Vinny, has anyone signed up for public comment?
No.
Would anyone like to speak?
Since Mr. Grant hasn't gone, Mr. Grant, would you?
Good evening, board members. Moshe Grant, 8 Sudbury Road, Morganville. I'll sign up for the dog treats. I'll take enough for 2 dogs for about 2 months, if you don't mind. Just let me know when and where. A few items. Item number 1, Ashley over here already noted it. We've been waiting for about 10 months now to try to get a basic need for children in the security in the form of security while they're on school property. Now, some people say it's not during school hours, but they're still on school property. So in the end of the day, it's school property, and any child in Marlboro in school should be secured. It's just as simple as that. Michael, thank you for working hard to get it done, but let's just get it over the line. It's election season. Should be easy to work with the mayor right now, so let's please get it done. That's 1. Number 2, health curriculum. You said 25% of Marlboro parents decided to opt their children out from the health curriculum. I'm actually one of those parents. The problem I have with it is that most of those 25%, which is a lot, are opting out because of very minor few items that are extremely controversial. So what happens is my child is being deprived from the entire health curriculum because the school board decided to add a few very controversial items onto the curriculum. So if you can separate that to 1 session out of the year or 2 sessions out of the year, then I don't have to have my kids not be in the health curriculum the entire year. Just something to think about. One last thing. Sorry, brain freeze. Oh, where's our superintendent? I mean, I wasn't here from the beginning. Maybe it was explained, but it's the first time I come to a board meeting and the superintendent is not here. In this case, it's Mr. Ballone. Just wondering where he is. Thank you.
Would any of the board members like to respond? Mr. Grant, I've taken down what you said. I can't speak directly to it, but I was under the assumption that the health curriculum, when you opted out, was of those very specific content areas in 5th and 8th grade that were dealing with either gender identity, sexual orientation, or the different kinds of sexes in 8th grade. I wasn't under the assumption that you would be opted out of the entire health curriculum for the whole year. When Mr. Ballone returns, he's not here for personal reasons. I will make sure that he gets back to you on that, and I will report back at the next meeting. Thank you. Aldo?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say anything at first because I wasn't sure, but I was under the same impression too. I'm actually curious to see what the result of this is because I thought it was just opting out of those specific items.
Yeah, those 2 lessons.
I didn't think it was like the child being completely removed from the course for, you know, like long periods of time. Like, I want to see like what the turnout, the result of that is.
Yeah, the code, New Jersey code reads that the parent has the ability to opt out of those portions of the curriculum that they object to. It shouldn't be that if you opt out of a certain portion, that means you're opted out of the entire thing. So we should look into that a little bit further.
Yeah, yeah, like if it,
Absolutely.
Is it like one class, or is it, you know, I love the idea of the night of the, you know, the parents thing, but, you know, definitely curious
No,
to see.
to Mr. Grant's point,
Yeah.
I believed it was just 2 separate lessons.
That's what I thought too. If it's different,
Right.
definitely.
I'm
if we
going to
can
get
find out,
clarification on
'cause
that.
would-
Since Mr. Bologna isn't here, when he returns,
Absolutely.
I will give him that information. We'll see what's going on.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Would you like to come up?
Your shirt is so cute.
Thank you. Farabono, Nashua Drive, Marlboro, speaking as a taxpayer. I understand all the conversations regarding security for before care, for child care, spending my tax dollars, and I understand the point, but it's still school property. Be careful of what you put forward, that if you are doing it because it's school property, because we have the schools used on Saturday for rec basketball, we have it used for religious education, and those are all Marlboro students who live in our town and go to all of our schools as well. So I am all for security, but I just wanted you to take into consideration when we're looking at using tax dollars and not the programs that run before care. And if the premise is that it's on school property, there are a lot of events that happen at all hours, programming at night, plays, etc., on school property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bono.
I just
Yes.
add that, so you know, part of our discussion was those other activities as well, and the safety and security meeting, they are being discussed, and we discussed again tonight as well, because it's on the agenda, as you'll see, and executives discuss again. So thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. I see none. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were going to move around to sit with her. My apologies.
Megan Fitzsimmons, Wesley Avenue, Atlantic Highlands. Just a couple things from tonight's meeting. For the policy committee, if you're considering changes to the transgender policy, I would just, as a licensed clinical social worker, I would hope that there's been some input or discussion with mental health professionals before any changes are made. It's, you know, those policies are in existence for a reason, and I'm all about the health, the mental health as well as the physical health of our students, and I want everyone to be safe. For the curriculum, I'm at the Early Learning Center. I'm the Child Study Team social worker there, and you know, we do not have universal pre-K. All of our preschool programs are in existence because of our special education students. So I'm familiar with foundations. We used to use it when we had some special education kindergarten programs in our class, in our building, for remediation. So my question, or just wondering, is this was new to me in terms of if there's a concern, that's the way it came across to me. That may not be your intention, but that our preschool students don't have the foundation to be able to participate in the SIPS program, which is the phonics program for kindergarten. So that was just something that I was questioning. Obviously, I can speak to my principal, but I know for our teachers, you know, today was the letter I day in the preschool, so that was just something that I was wondering if there was a need for foundations because there was data that showed that they weren't prepared when they got into kindergarten. And as the MTEA president, I would just like to ask the board if they are planning, that's one of the reasons why I'm here tonight, for there to be a public discussion about the budget, including any potential cuts, because obviously that's very concerning to me as the president and for my membership going forward. And I know I think there's only 2 more meetings before that discussion occurs. So that's it. Thank you.
Christina, can I just say one thing? So I'll just speak to the policy piece. Thank you for that piece. Yeah, absolutely. So with the policy 5756, we have had a couple of meetings on it. We're going to present it to the board, and we're obviously going to present it to the community as well for your thoughts, your concerns, your feedback. That's really important. But I do want to make it very clear. Mental health, I'm with you, that mental health to me is one of the most important things too. Making sure we're inclusive, making sure we're maintaining the integrity of that, of certain aspects of the policy, and making sure that our children have a safe space to be their true, authentic selves, whatever that might be. The thing that you're going to just see the change in, oh, sorry about that. The thing, some of the components you'll see is just including families and making sure we have a supportive environment for students and that we have resources available to them. So I appreciate that, and we're going to get, put it out there. We're going to get feedback from the community. This is not just something that's going to be, discussed in a vacuum and just presented and that's it, right? It's important to me to hear the thoughts and feedback from everybody, whether you agree with it or you don't. I welcome all feedback, I really do. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Aldo?
Yeah, I just wanted to just add, I've been sitting in on those meetings too, and it's we're definitely putting in a lot of work. Like, there's hours being spent on this, and I'm excited for being able to present it to the community and get feedback to see what the thoughts are on it. I just think the main thing, like Val said, we're not. The main purpose is, really just to keep the families in mind as well. After all, the kids belong to their they're part of their family. So, and that's it. Thank you, though.
In regards to the budget, we're going to welcome community input on the budget when we have a public hearing on it on April 25th. So any concerns, we always welcome community input. In speaking regards to foundations, there's been no determination. SIPS is a great program as well. There's been no feedback one way or another to say it's not working. When I spoke with Mr. Ballone, it's kind of like a comparison of, Stop and Shop to ShopRite, right? They're both, facilities that are able to give you a product. I'm all about data, and I just asked him to produce data for me so that we could analyze it. I know some community members were concerned. They felt their children weren't reading where they needed to be or spelling the way that they should be spelling. So my job is just to ask questions and see if there's something that we can do better. Could we try it? So there was nothing determined. There's no reflection on teachers at all. It was just a simple question that I asked Mr. Ballone to see if we can investigate something and see if it would work as good or better so that the students could achieve their best. Any other comments? Mrs. McCormick?
Ashley McCormick, 16 Riley Road. I hate being up here, so 3 times in one night is not good. I just wanted to take time to thank the Board of Education. I applaud you guys. You all are well aware I've come to almost every meeting for almost 3 years, and this is refreshing. The hours of work you guys are probably putting in, the emails, the Slack that you might be getting, like Mr. Zinnemeyer just read. I just want to applaud you because it's refreshing to sit here and see you guys doing an amazing job. That's the first thing. The second thing, just to bounce off Mrs. Bono, of course, when you guys discuss security, some of the extracurricular activities that happen at school, parents are welcome to. So just remember that, please, because if a parent is allowed to come to a practice or something, then they're responsible for the safety of their child while they're sitting there. And last but not least, this question is for Mr. Zinnemeyer. What is Robert's rule or Robert's law? How does that apply? When does that apply? Because I thought that there had to be 5 yeses to pass something. And that's not even my question, that's another parent's question. Thank you.
Mark?
So Robert's Rules of Order is something that the board has adopted. It's basically a book, bylaws of parliamentary procedure that many public bodies and even private bodies use to govern parliamentary procedures at their meetings. We also have New Jersey law, which is this book over here, that talks about certain actions of a Board of Education requiring a certain number of votes, regardless of how many people are present. For instance, personnel actions at a Board of Education meeting always, if you have a 9-member board, require 5 yes votes no matter how many people show up. So if we have 5 people at a board meeting, we would need 5 yes votes to pass any personnel action. The merit goals under parliamentary procedure requires a simple majority, and that's what we had tonight, a simple majority. So we had, and the abstentions technically don't count as votes. So the vote was 3 to 2 to 1 abstention, I think. I'm sorry, was it
3 to 3 to 1?
I'm sorry, 3 yeses, 3 noes.
No, 3 yeses, 3
Let me
abstentions.
try that again.
And 1
Sorry, I'll get it right. 3 yeses, 3 abstentions, and 1 no. And that carries because, again, the abstentions really don't count as votes. So it's technically 3 to 1.
Anyone else? I'd like to make a motion to close public comment. Do I have a second? Annette, all in favor? Any opposed? I see none. We are going to move into executive session. Resolution, be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, the Marlboro Township Board of Education shall conduct a closed executive session pursuant to the exception prescribed by NJSA 10:4-12 for the purpose of discussing matters of attorney-client privilege, negotiations, school safety and security, legal matters. It is anticipated that the length of time of this executive session will be 60 minutes and that no action will be taken in public after the executive session. Be it further resolved that the minutes of the executive session will be released when the need for confidentiality in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12 no longer applies. Can I have a second? Susie, discussion? I see none. All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Have a good night.